You would not catch me doing this if I had a life. Hello, fellow humans. I am back with something very disturbing you may not have even known that your body is capable of doing. So if you're easily disgusted or triggered by bodily fluids such as saliva, this is not the video for you. And the skill that I am trying to master is completely useless and gross, so please, if you do discover how to do this yourself, do not use it in front of people who are easily disgusted as well, and that's probably the majority, okay? So, what I'm going to speak about is very sophisticated indeed, and that's gleeking. Squirting saliva out of the gland underneath your tongue. And I wasn't even aware that the human body was able to do this until it happened to me randomly. So my story is, I was sitting right here at this very desk that I use for work, and I randomly yawned, and tiny droplets just landed on the desk, and I was very shocked at what that was, because I had felt that it had come out of my mouth, and it was really weird. So then I googled it and discovered that everybody is capable of doing this. And since we're living in the 2020s, oh what a time to be alive, it has a name. It's called gleeking, and it was maybe a year ago a TikTok trend. So that leaves me very hopeful for the future of my generation. Let's put it that way. And then I was fortunate enough to forget about it till it happened to me again. And I just awkwardly wiped the desk in the lecture hall where it had happened, and hope no one had seen it. And then I remembered about it again, and then I started thinking, well, my phone is so disgusted that it muted me in the middle of recording of the most important video file where I'm explaining everything and describing everything and teaching you how to do it. Not that I'm a pro, but I've kinda learned. So, the second time I started wondering if I could learn it just for fucks and giggles. Just for fun, you know? So I tried to put my mouth in the same position again, and I googled it again, and the first link was to WikiHow, and there's a tutorial, so I thought, why not? And there's this illustration with a mouth and with a tongue positioned roughly like this. So I tried putting my tongue like that, like an idiot, and following the descriptions and the instructions that are on WikiHow, such as if your tongue feels stiff, you're doing it right, except there's a lot of muscle in your tongue, so there are probably 100 ways to make it feel stiff, and that doesn't mean you're doing it right. Also, the illustration with the position of the tongue, yes, it is in a retroflex position, so it is curved backwards, but not like the image, at least not in my case. So I tried it a lot and it did not work. And part of why it didn't work was that I was trying it on empty. I was trying it dry. So of course there was nothing to shoot out of my mouth, but also I discovered it while I actually had charged my saliva gland. which was while eating, and till this day, I still haven't reached the point where I can gleek anytime. I need to charge it before I can shoot from it, you know? And at at that point, I just tried completely naturally, not imagining the pictures on WikiHow, not doing anything, just kind of like, oh, well, and I managed to do it finally, immediately, because I was eating, because I had the saliva, because my tongue remembered how it had done it, without following those rules that didn't do me much help. And that's because everybody's sweet spot is in a different position, I guess. So that's why I'm filming this, to tell you that the WikiHow tutorial is crap. Not literally, not totally, but there were some videos that I also tried replicating the mouth shapes of those people, and it did not work. What did work was reimagine how I had positioned my tongue at that moment when it happened spontaneously, when I just yawned and it squirted out. It did squirt out because I somehow had the saliva in, and because yawning stimulates it. That's actually good advice in that tutorial on WikiHow. Yawning, yawning stimulates saliva production. So does eating. So does chewing on your tongue. I have tried those. The only thing that worked and has worked for me so far is eating. So in between the bites, when I swallow the bite that I have chewed on after swallowing, if I can feel that the gland is charged, I can attempt gleeking. Sometimes I can do it without eating, so there is progress. But if you're trying to learn how to gleek, start training while you're eating. Do swallow the food, but do not swallow the whole content of your mouth, because what's underneath your tongue is going to spill from the gland, and then you're left with nothing and you can start all over again. You just need to feel like you're charged, and that takes practice. But knowing when the gland and the tongue are charged is the important part, where I actually discovered where my sweet spot was. Because when I felt it was there, and I didn't try too hard, and I just tried to remember how I'd done it previously without trying to replicate mouth shapes that are not mine to make, because I have a different anatomy from everyone in the world. That was when it worked. You can definitely try if that's going to fit you, but it did not help me at all. And I'm probably lucky that it happened spontaneously in the first place, that I had something to build that imagination upon. But what works for me, if I can give you instructions on how I do it. If this is your tongue, you're not supposed to go like this. You need to put your tongue further back, and what's important, you're not really moving this part that much, the tip and the middle. What you need to do is curve backwards the bottom and the back of your tongue. So the shooting actually happens here. So the movement that I have tried to fixate my muscle memory on. So when you finally discovered it, you can practice it all the time with your mouth closed. In public, while you're in public transport, you need to focus on your lips staying pursed as tight as possible, just in case. You don't need to spit all over people. It's not spitting. Technically, I would not even call it spit. Like, yes, the substance is the same, but I feel like it's more watery and probably cleaner, because it's not been all around your mouth with all the leftover food and gross stuff. It's coming right out of the gland. I think it's more watery and actually thinner. It's squirting right out. It's tiny droplets, it's kind of elegant. Like, I definitely would not want it on me, and I definitely would not appreciate it if a stranger was clicking next to me, but you need to get that movement into your muscle memory. If I show you my mouth, this is gonna be ugly, but this is where I put my tongue. Not like this. You don't prop it against the palate. You don't stiffen it in a way that just curves it weirdly. You need to charge the root of your tongue. You need to push back the bottom part, the back part of it. So you go like this. It's not even very high up. The reason you're lifting the tip of your tongue has got something to do with that, but also you don't want to be blocking that space through which it flies out. So another part of it is lowering your jaw and letting it fly over the teeth. So you don't gleek on your teeth, but you let it out. So you do something like this with the tongue. But you've chewed on something, you've got some saliva, and you just swiftly shoot it out like this. You don't need to move this part much. You don't need to stiffen it like no. I'm not even touching the palate with the tip of my tongue. I'm just like just whoop it out. So I'm gonna try to film some footage, and if it's not working, then I'll try to film it again with some tastier food after being hungrier, because you need to get those fluids going. So that's how I do it, and let me show you, okay? Also, the kind of food you eat and how hungry you are definitely influence the amount of saliva that gets built up. Ja, and that's something you need to count on at least until the point when you've learned to activate it by yourself, which I don't even know how possible that even is to do. But I guess if you practice, it should be possible, but I'm not at that point yet, definitely. Did you think I was lying that I could do it? Yes, I am going to clean up this whole place. Don't worry, it's going on the floor, not on the bed. I'm not that disgusting, okay? So yeah, that's it. That's gleeking. That's something everybody could do, but no one's life is that empty.